All right. Good day, everyone. So now we will start our module 10. We're almost there. But before that, we will be talking chapter 25. So basically, this is very self-explanatory because there are some just medical terminologies that we used in terms of working in a healthcare setting. There might be some terminologies that we need to be familiarized with, but before that, I think you can, if you want to know more about the terminologies or medical terminologies or abbreviations, we can find that in our ebooks, right? But whatever you have, either ebooks or the physical book, which is the Canadian textbook for support workers, right? So medical terminology, once again, is essential for accurate healthcare communication. We use terminologies in the healthcare setting, especially if you will read in the documentation or any like reporting like that, or even like talking to the nurse or the doctors, right? Medical terms are composed of words of elements, and abbreviations are widely used across healthcare settings. So basically, it's more like very universal. There might be some changes somehow, but it's very minimal, right? So if using the incorrect terminology, you can have illegal consequences. So if you're not sure what terminology to use, make sure you confirm it to your supervisor or to your nurse on duty, right? So again, for PSW, it's not much very common using terminologies because most of your documentations are like, like checkbox or anything like that. However, there might be some instances that you need to read some, what they call this, care plans that they use terminology. So that's why it's good to know those things, right? Prefix, right? So prefix is a place at the beginning of the word and then modify the meaning of the root word. It's always a combination with other word element. So it is never used alone, okay? It is never used alone. So I'm just giving you an idea on how the medical terminologies are being created. So as what I have mentioned, prefix is the first one. It is usually placed at the beginning of the word. And then when we talk about root or the root word, it's provide the core meaning of the medical term, usually combined with suffixes or another root word. So often joined by combining vowel, so commonly O, right? O. And then suffixes, it's located at the end of the word root. It's changed the meaning of the root word. And again, it's also never used alone. So prefix is the beginning, suffix or suffixes is the end word, right? It's from the end. So translating medical terms begin with the prefix when present, then you need to identify the root word and then finish with the suffix, right? Example, nephro. Nephro plus its. So that is the suffix. Nephro is the root word, so it's equals to nephritis, right? Nephritis. So that's how you actually create the medical terminologies. So in terms of abdominal region, so these are the very common terminologies that we use. So that's why it's very important that you are familiar with this because you usually check, remember when you are observing the abdomen of your client, if there might be any sores or maybe discomfort. So it's also used to describe location of your organs, if there's pain or any discomfort, is what I mentioned. So when we say LQ, it's the right upper quadrant. Left upper quadrant is the LUQ, right lower quadrant is the RLQ, and left lower quadrant is the LLQ, right? So it's always like between the umbilicus. So the upper right, it's always on the right side and the upper part of your stomach, below your chest or below your breast, right? Same thing, the left is on the other side, and then the lower portion, that will be the right lower quadrant, and then the left lower quadrant. So if you will imagine your abdomen from the umbilicus, which is the middle, you will draw a cross line or a cross, right? And then that's how you split the quadrants. Okay, next will be directional terms. So directional terms, there are just some of the common ones that we usually use. There might be a lot, or there are a lot actually. However, I only included in my slides the most commonly used ones. So when we say anterior or ventral, toward the front of the body, right? So it's front, all the front part of the body is what we call the anterior. Posterior or the dorsal is always from the back, right? It's always from the back, everything from the back. Let's say your breast is anterior, right? Because it's from the front. Your butt is posterior. Okay, the medial is near the midline. So let's say, for example, your the chest, or the chest part. So basically your fingernails or your fingernails are actually not midline, it's far, right? So the armpit is actually the medial. Sorry, when we talk about medial, it's supposed to be near the midline. So let's say, for example, your chest or your abdomen is considered medial part. Lateral, it's toward the side. And then the proximal is nearer the point of origin. So it depends which one is the point of origin that you have. It's always what we call the proximal, which is the nearest. Okay? Distal is always the further from the point of origin. So let's say, for example, your point of origin is your let's say your thigh part, right? Your thigh part. So the proximal is the knees, right? The distal is your toenails, because that's farther. Proximal is closer, the knee is closer to your thigh, so that is proximal. All right. So abbreviation. When we talk about abbreviation, it's the shortened forms of words or phrases, and then must be official and recognized by your company. Where will you companies that you will be working, and then make sure we use abbreviation because you want to save time and space and documentation, because especially if there's a long documentation that you need to write because something happened on your shift. And make sure that it is always employer specific abbreviation that list apply. As what I've mentioned, double checking your company policy that it is recognized by them, okay, by them. Because there might be some abbreviations that it is recognized from the other facility, but it's not from your current facility. Okay, so again, if you want to read more details about medical terminology, you can always find it in your ebook, which is chapter 25. Same thing, the Elsevier, which is the Canadian textbook for the support worker. So please do so. I didn't explain this one further because technically it's medical terminologies. You need to familiarize the terminologies. So I'm just giving you how it was created and some of the commonly used ones. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you again for the next chapter. I think we only have another chapter for module 10, which is chapter 45, if I'm not mistaken. Then after that, we are going to proceed to module 11, and we're almost at the end. Okay, so good luck and have a good day, everyone.